Thomason. Back to the drawing board for House Speaker Mike Johnson after a combination stopgap spending election integrity bill failed to pass the House. The partial government shutdown looms at the end of the month. In light of the recent Trump assassination attempts, talk of boosting the Secret Service budget. Republican Congressman Steve Scalise notes that Secret Service has enjoyed multiple budget increases in recent years. Former President Trump says that the recent assassination attempts have only strengthened his resolve to campaign with renewed vigor and to, as he put it, make America great again. Israel's defense minister says his country's war on terror is entering a new phase, but he has said nothing about those exploding Hezbollah pagers and walkie-talkies in Lebanon. Wall Street, Dow futures up 508 points and NASDAQ futures ahead 436. More details at srnnews.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you could get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge. But it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. That's because MediShare works. It has for more than 30 years. It's a community of Christians who have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth. They love the huge PPO network. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Just call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE. 844-45-BIBLE.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Ample sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 85. Winds out of the north, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy tonight, 57. Daytime highs approaching 90 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-80s Saturday with a chance of thunderstorms. Much cooler Sunday with highs in the upper 60s and showers. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 72 Monday, 73 Tuesday, and 77 on Wednesday. Another look at the short range, a high of 85 today, a low of 57 tonight. We should top off around 90 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, 59.
Ulta Beauty's 21 Days of Beauty event is back. From now until September 19th, score over 200 daily beauty steals at 50% off in every category. And check Ulta.com daily to get them all before they're gone. Take 50% off bestsellers from brands like Estee Lauder and Supergoop. Plus, say hello to new finds from brands like Dyson and Sol de Janeiro. And Ilia is now at Ulta Beauty in select stores and online. Shop in-store at Ulta.com or try pickup today. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful. Conditions apply while supplies last.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Listen up, you World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War veterans. This is your DI from Kansas Honor Flight. I want you to get up off your duff and get your veteran application submitted to us for a fabulous, free 3-day trip to Washington, D.C. to visit your memorials. You're not getting any younger. You did not have to be in country. You were serving our great nation. Go to kansashonorflight.org or call 620-546-2400.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off when you trade in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
Since 1901, F&B Bank has been serving our local ranchers, farmers, and other ag-related businesses, and many of our team members grew up in the ag environment. That being said, we understand your business doesn't fall into a one-size-fits-all model, so why should your loans? You can count on us to understand the uniqueness of your operation and meet each one of your financing needs. Come see me, Casey Schilling, to begin building that relationship today. F&B Bank, member FDIC.
WKSradio.net, the place to go to be in the know. NWKSradio.net.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
The amount of money getting thrown around to quarterbacks who haven't done diddly squat is amazing to me.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
It's been a long, long time.
Hardware and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
McCarthy will send it into left field for a base hit. Hilliard charges. His throw to the plate is in time. Tag put on Pavin Smith, and he is toast.
3-2, slam down the line in right. Corbin Carroll has hit another one. 2 at bats, 2 home runs for Corbin. Make it 5-0 Diamondback.
Now the Huskers bump it to the left. Krause for the match.
In. We're done in Lincoln. Nebraska with a 3-love win over the mighty Stanford Cardinals.
And a base hit into right. That's your ball game. Jake Bowers, a walk-off single. And the night the Brewers clinch the National League Central, they walk off the Philadelphia Phillies.
Happy Thursday morning. Welcome inside the Morning Blitz. Broadcasting as always on Rockets 102.5 and AM 730 Gold KLOE. Glad you could be with us here on a Thursday, September the 19th. A nice, cool, sunny start to your Thursday. Temperatures at 60 degrees to get us going here on this day. As always, the FB Bank text line is open. The number 785-899-2222. Does anybody else feel like this week is flying by and it's just been a crazy week? It has been for me. I don't know about for other people, but it has certainly been a crazy week, and it's only going to continue with a jam-packed Thursday, not only here on the show, but also, of course, in my world personally. So going to just a crazy Thursday ahead, and glad I can spend the next hour with you here talking a little bit of sports, where today we'll dive into lots of different things. We'll be joined by a first-time guest here on the Blitz. He's the new head men's basketball coach for Fort Hays Tech Northwest. That would be Brad Shaw. He'll join us in studio coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. We'll get you an update from the Diamond. It's not a good day for the Royals yesterday, and so we're starting to see some postseason clinchings going on at this point in time, seeing some teams lock in their positions in the postseason. So we'll get you an update what's happening in the world of baseball a little bit. Some very interesting news out of the NBA in the walk-off. We'll come to that too as well. And there's a little bit of local sports today, some cross-country going on over at Waukene, also up at McCook. Also a little bit of volleyball at McCook for the Colby Lady Eagle volleyball team. So we'll get to that more coming up in segment 3. But like I said, if you want to be a part of the show, as always, hit us up on the text line, the F&B Bank text line, 785-899-2222 is the number to be part of the Morning Blitz here this day. If you want to be a part of it, just like I said, we would love to we'd love to have you join the show and get your thoughts and comments in. But it's a Thursday, and we're going to kick off the show with what we've done the last couple of weeks as we get set with NFL football beginning tonight. The Jets hosting the Patriots, an AFC East matchup, which means week number 3 of the NFL football season is upon us, and that means that we have to get to our NFL Power 5. So week 3 of the NFL, some good games, and it depends on how you look at it. Of course, that's always the deal with the Power 5. Now, if it's college or pro, it's what does Ross think are the top 5 games going on in the NFL here this week. I'm going to actually start with my honorable mention game, a game that might not actually be that entertaining, I suppose, if you want to put it that way. Starting with the Bears going to the Colts. That's my game there where I guess it's my honorable mention game because I can get it. Look, the Colts are 0-2 and the Bears are 1-1. Why is this game on the Power 5 or honorable mention on the Power 5? Well, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be about, right now the spread thinks that as well, with it being 1.5 with the Indianapolis Colts having the 1.5 spread lead at this point in time, going towards them. This is also an interesting quarterback matchup if you really want to look at it. There's been troubles for both teams. Caleb Williams has not looked like the quarterback that the Bears were hoping for. Just 174 passing yards and 2 interceptions in their loss to the Houston Texans. They really need him to step up and play a lot better. They absolutely do. If they don't get any more out of, and it's a lot to ask out of a rookie quarterback, and you have to walk that fine line because the league is changing to where now they believe that you do need to be playing as a rookie and then using that money that they're saving on your rookie contract to get pieces around you. And it makes sense. But at the same time, you have to be able to not destroy your quarterback to where he's a bust within a couple of years. Example, Bryce Young, unfortunately. But so the Bears are trying to walk that fine line at this point in time. On the Colts side, they've got Anthony Richardson, who's in year 2, and of course he dealt with a lot of injuries last year. And he shows flashes of just amazingness. He really does. He shows flashes where it's just like, wow, this guy is unbelievable. But he also shows times where it's like, what in the world are we doing this guy at quarterback? 3 turnovers in their week 2 loss to the Path, or 3 interceptions, not just 3 turnovers, 3 picks. They were all on him to the Packers. But he does throw some brilliant, he does have some brilliant passes and some brilliant moments. So that's an interesting storyline. The Bears defense has been very good, especially in the second half, allowing just 1.5 points per game in the second half of their 2 contests. So, and the Colts defense has been banged up. Maybe this is the game the Bears are able to get Caleb Williams going possibly. The matchup kind of goes in their favor, at least at this point in time. But Colts hosting the Bears in my honorable mention game in the NFL Power 5 here on this Thursday. All right, moving on to
number 4.
Number 4, Actually, I forget. I always got to go number 5. I keep screwing this up.
Number 5.
Number 5. Lions, Cardinals. Another one of those games like Ross. Why the Lions? Why the Cardinals? Well, the Lions are maybe not as dominant as we thought they would be, at least early on in the season, but it's very early. It's only 2 weeks in. The Cardinals are certainly a vastly improved team from what we all thought that. The Lions offense has been productive. They're getting up they're averaging about 413 yards per game. Second in the NFL, but struggling when they get into the red zone. Jared Goff has looked very good. 524 yards passing, but just 1 touchdown and 3 picks. So they're able to move the ball between the 20s or the 10s. They just can't put it in the end zone at this point in time. And for Arizona, their ground game has been great. 177 yards rushing per game. James Conner's done a great job there. Over 172 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyler Murray's thrown the ball well. He's completing over 73% of his passes with no picks. That's amazing. But the key matchup in this game will be Detroit's defense, led by Aiden Hutchinson, who has 5.5 sacks already this season. Think about it. In 2 games, 5.5 sacks. How will he handle Arizona's balanced offensive attack? That'll be the interesting situation to see. Because if you have a good running game, it's hard to get aggressive in the pass rush. And if you don't have a great ground, they're going to pass, of course you can get aggressive in the pass rush. So how does Aiden Hutchinson handle that? How do they do that? I think this game will be very close. Right now, it looks like as if the Lions are a 3-point favorite on the road. They are the better team, more complete team, but Arizona's been impressive. I've been impressed by Arizona and how they've looked at this point in time. All right, moving on to
number 4.
Number 4 is going to be a Sunday game of the Eagles going to the Saints. Look, the Eagles had a horrible meltdown in Monday Night Football. They should be 2-0. They had a complete meltdown. Offensively, you can debate whether that was the right play. Do you run the ball and keep the clock moving, or do you get the first down and just go right for the throat? There's pros and cons to each side. But that's in the rearview mirror. The defense had a chance to get off the field. They couldn't, and Kirk Cousins sliced them up down the field for a touchdown. So Eagles easily could be 2-0. The Saints have looked amazing through 2 games. 47-10 over Carolina, who we know is trash. And then the real shocker, just blowing the doors off of Dallas in Big D, 44-19. Just absolutely ridiculous what the Saints have been doing. And so that brings me to this. The Saints offense has been dominant, and Alvin Kamara has 4 touchdowns already this season. And the Eagles defense has had its challenges. In the first 2 weeks, they've given up over 400 yards per game. But you can never really, I don't think you can count out a dual threat quarterback, especially like Jalen Hurts. He's got the ability to run, of course, obviously. He's a good passer. He has weapons. A.J. Brown, though, him not being in the lineup is certainly hurting Philadelphia's passing game. But I would not, like I said, I would not put too much, I guess. I would look at this game, and even though I think the Saints are what are they, a 2.5 point favorite? Like I said, it's a coin flip game kind of, just because New Orleans at home, they get the 2.5. I think Philadelphia is going to be right there. So I think this game is highly entertaining. Both teams have really good rosters, which means usually you're going to have a pretty darn good football game, usually, unless you're Dallas, unfortunately for them. But Philadelphia at New Orleans, that is number 4, on our NFL Power 5. All right.
Number 3.
Going to a game that I don't think anybody thought would be a battle of unbeatens. How about the 2-0 LA Chargers at the 2-0 Pittsburgh Steelers? Look, both teams had question marks going in. What are the Chargers going to look like underneath Jim Harbaugh? What are the Steelers going to do at quarterback? Russell Wilson's hurt. Is Justin Fields going to be able to keep things going? The answer is, well, both have looked pretty darn good at this point in time. You have Pittsburgh, though, who's faced off against Atlanta and Denver, and I don't know if those 2 teams are that amazing. But the Chargers, they haven't faced a lot of great teams either in the Chargers and Carolina. So both teams have gotten to 2-0 thanks to maybe lackluster schedules, to say the least. But looking at some of the notes here for this game, the ground game for the Chargers has been huge, led by the resurgence of former Ohio State running back J.K. Dobbins, who has 266 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns for the first 2 games of this season. He ran for 219. against the Panthers. You've got that great rushing attack going against that fantastic Pittsburgh defense, allowing just 6 points in that win over Denver. Their defense is super opportunistic. 4 sacks, 4 picks in 2 games. TJ Watt is an absolute dude. Just continues to disrupt everything up front. And offensively for Pittsburgh, they haven't been great. They've been okay. He's avoided the turnovers as Justin Fields. That's been a big thing, but inconsistent in trying to move the ball up and down the field. And Justin Herbert, he's been okay. 3 touchdowns, 274 yards passing. He hasn't had to carry the load like in previous years. I think that's going to be great in the long run for him. This game is going to be very good. It's going to be entertaining. I think it will be close. Right now, you've got a 1.5-point favorite in the hands of Pittsburgh right now, just because, once again, they are at home. And I would believe that the Pittsburgh defense would be able to find a way to piece it together to slow down that rushing attack for the Chargers. But who knows? That's why it's on the NFL Power 5 here on this Thursday. All right, moving on to
number 2.
The top 2 games this week are very, very good and should be highly entertaining. Number 2 is the Baltimore Ravens at the Dallas Cowboys. Right now, Baltimore is a 1-point favorite. Baltimore is 0-2. How they're there, we don't know. They lose to the Chiefs in heartbreaking fashion. Understandable on the road. They had the game won against the Raiders. They gave it up in the second half. They're 0-2. The Dallas Cowboys blow the doors off the Browns in week 1 and then come home and completely lay an egg against New Orleans, losing 44-19 last Sunday. So both teams are doing some soul searching going into this game at this point in time. Both teams have had defensive problems. The Ravens are allowing over 27 points per game. The Cowboys are giving up over 30 points per game. And so that means this could be a lot of offense. So if you love high-scoring games, this could be your game. I think back and forth, a lot of offense makes this game very entertaining, which is why it's on the NFL Power 5 here at number 2. Right now, you've got Baltimore, a 1-point favorite on the road, and Dallas has been very good at home as underdogs. They're never good when they're the favorites at home, but they're great when they're underdogs at home. And so we'll see what this means. And Lamar Jackson has been dynamic all season and for his career. So how does Dallas's defense handle that? That his rushing ability changes everything when it comes to most football games that Lamar Jackson plays in. All right.
Number 1.
The final stop here on the NFL Power 5 will be the Houston Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, that 1 and 2 easily could have been flipped back and forth. I get that. But I think we could have predicted that the Texans could be 2-0. Did we think the Vikings would be 2-0? I don't know about that. And the way that both teams have looked through 2 games this season has been very good. The Vikings took it out on the Giants, who are maybe the worst team in the NFL in week 1. And then against San Francisco, held on to beat maybe one of the best teams in the NFC, 23-17. While the Texans have taken on 2 teams that have scuffled out of the gate in Indianapolis and Chicago and have won them both very close at this point in time. They've won by a combined 5 points in their first 2 games, have the Houston Texans. But C.J. Stroud has been amazing. 494 yards and 3 touchdowns and no picks so far here in 2024. And he hasn't thrown a pick since week 11 of last season. That's been amazing to me. So C.J. Stroud has been a stellar. And, if you're Carolina, you're sick because you could have had C.J. Stroud, but you didn't. So it makes it even worse on the whole Bryce Young deal this week. And Minnesota has, in another side note here on this game, Minnesota has dominated this rare matchup. They've played 5 times, and Minnesota has won all 5. The last time these teams met, the Vikings emerged with the win, and they'll look to maintain a perfect streak at home in front of their fans at US Bank Stadium. It's a great test to see if the Vikings can maintain their early season momentum or if the Texans can pull off an upset, I guess, a little bit on the road there. But I found that interesting that the Vikings have won 5 matchups out of this one, all 5. I think that probably changes. I've got Houston, I think, winning this one. They're a 2-point favorite. They look like at this point in time, and once again, I know the competition they played has not been great, and they haven't won dominantly, Next to the Saints, the Houston Texans look to be about as dominant and most complete team out there. By the way, just a random thought here. What if because the Super Bowl is in New Orleans this year. What if it was New Orleans and Houston in the Super Bowl? Talk about travel expenses being pretty cheap. I mean, shoot, Houston's only an hour and a half, 2-hour trip over there to New Orleans. So, man, if the Super Bowl's there in New Orleans and you got one team, the host team is a home squad, and the Saints and you got the Texans, that would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? I mean, through 2 weeks of the season, haven't these two, like I said, haven't the Saints and the Texans in their respected leagues looked the best? Their respected conferences? I think so. So that'd be fascinating if that was Super Bowl matchup. Once again, we are a long, long ways away from that. But man, what an entertaining storyline that would be. Nonetheless, Houston, Minnesota, my number one game. So in recapping, NFL Power 5 for week number 3. Bears going to the Colts. Lions visiting the Cardinals. Eagles at the Saints coming in at number 4. Number 3, a couple of interesting offenses scoring off, and both teams 2-0. The Chargers and the Steelers. Who would have predicted that? 2 teams that desperately need bounce-back wins, and the Ravens and the Cowboys at number 2. And number 1, a pair of unbeaten teams with the best team, probably the favorite team, being on the road at a very tough environment in Minnesota. Houston at the Vikings. So Texans and Vikings. There you go. That would be the NFL Power 5. Once again, the Week 3 slate gets scheduled to start tonight. That'll be at 7:15 Central, 6:15 Mountain Time. Watch it on Prime Video tonight as the Jets take on the Patriots. Aaron Rodgers, can he look like less of a game manager and more like a playmaker for the Jets? And does New England continue to find ways to keep it away from the Jets offense? Can they stay on the field against that really good Jets defense? We'll find out tonight with Thursday Night Football. All right, there you go. Week 3 of the NFL Power 5 here on the Morning Blitz. Let's get to a break. When we return, coming up will be Brad Shaw. He's the new head coach for the Fort Hays Tech Northwest Tigers men's basketball team. He'll join us in studio. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Thursday.
As a customer-owned cooperative, Midwest Energy members elect their board of directors. Ballots for this year's director election are in the mail and must be completed and returned by October 4th. Election results will be announced at our annual meeting on Monday, October 21st, 10 a.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn in Hayes. We'll give away great door prizes, and all Midwest members are invited to attend. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Thursday, September 19th. And on the overnight last night, December corn traded below 2 3/4 at 4.10. March down 2.5 at 4.28 1/4. May down 2 1/4 at 4.39 1/4. And July corn down 2 cents at 4.45 3/4. November beans up 1.5 at 10.15 1/2. January up 1 3/4 at 10.33 3/4. March up 2 1/4 at 10.48, and May up 1 3/4 at 10.61 1/2. Chicago wheat, the December contract over 5 1/4 on the overnights at 5.70 1/2. March down 4 3/4 at 5.90 1/2. May down 4 1/2 at 6.02. July down 5 cents at 6.07 1/4. Kansas City wheat, the December contract down 5 cents at 5.73 1/2. March down 4 1/4 at 5.87 1/4. May down 6 cents at 5.93 1/2. July down 5 3/4 at 5.98 1/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up $88 at 41,694. The S&P up 20 at 5,654. The Nasdaq up 124 at 17,752. Gold higher 10 cents an ounce at 2,598, and crude oil up 94 cents a barrel at 71.85. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-45.
stewardship practices.
Out here, we raise stronger people, stronger crops, and we proudly raise our flag to that. Let the weather, pests, and pressures try to beat us down. We only keep growing up. With the next-gen genetics, the pure acre-for-acre know-how of these soils, and a deep pride of our roots, we are born to raise at Hogemeyer. Learn more at therightseed.com.
They're having one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. That's right, a hail sale where you can get massive savings on a new vehicle. For example, get a 23 GMC Sierra 1500 up to $20,000 off when you trade in eligible vehicle, now just over $37,000. A new 24 Chevy Tahoe RST, $13,000 off, now just over $59K. Plus 24 Chevy Traverse RS, $10,000 off, now just over $45,000. Plus many more. It's one hail of a sale at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
Once again, welcome back to the Morning Blitz here on a Thursday morning. Glad you could join us here. It's been one of those mornings where we've tried to get things to work correctly technology-wise, and it's just not been the smoothest of days. We have those days from every now and then, but appreciate you sticking with us here on the Morning Blitz. Matter if you're watching, of course, on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, or of course, we're broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 1025, 730 Gold, KLOE, NWKSradio.net. We appreciate you tuning in no matter which way you are doing so. The NFL Power 5 in our rear view mirror. We'll get to some baseball coming up here a little bit later on as well. But we are pleased to welcome in studio for the first time joining us in studio, probably the first of a few times, I'm guessing, over the course of his career, head coach for the Northwest Tech. I was trying to say Fort Hays Tech Northwest. You're going to have to work with me, Coach, because that's going to be a hard thing for me to get figured out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm getting used to it too.
Yeah. And so Brad Shaw joins us in studio. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. How's it going today?
Oh, it's great to be here. Fired up. Can't wait to talk some hoops with you and get it rocking.
Yeah, I know. Can you kind of give me the backstory on how the hiring process went, how you found out about and then became accepting this job?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first part is the best ability is availability. And yeah. I was available late. I was at another junior college the last 4 years, North Dakota State College of Science. I actually did not get named head coach there when my boss left for Idaho State. And so then I really was looking for the next best thing. And I saw that at the time it was still Northwest Kansas Tech. And I applied for that and really was fired up to have an opportunity there and got the call back from Rory. And it's been great. I'm really happy to be here.
What is that like when you're kind of sitting there, you know your boss is going, I'm guessing he took an assistant job at Idaho State and you're kind of sitting there like, well, I hope we get hired, but it does not end up being you. What is that like?
Yeah, I've gone through that a couple times in my coaching career with my boss leaving, and I've learned never assume that you're going to be the next guy. So, but interview experience is key, and my JUCO experience was also very key, and I'm really fired up to be here in Goodland.
Yeah, what was that interview like with Rory as they kind of came down to deciding on you? What was that interview like? What were your thoughts as you came in, or I don't know, did you interview through Zoom?
It was online. It was with Rory, President Shears, and Jason Showalter, the three of them, and my technology wasn't quite connecting at first. I'm like, oh crap, I thought that really would hurt me, but I just was really fascinated to hear what they had to say about the Jayhawk conference. It's so prestigious, and really fired up to have this opportunity and be here.
Yeah, what was it like coaching, like when you come from a league that you've never been a part of? You've been up north, so what do you know, if anything, about the league that you're about to be coaching in?
It's a gauntlet, top to bottom. Yeah. That is the biggest difference, right? Every single night you are getting tested. It is a battle. I'm used to being the favorite in my old league. We were the team everyone was gunning for. Everyone would try hard against us. And now teams might say, well, we can just breeze through these guys. And that's what I hope they think they can do. And we're here to upset some people.
Well, the culture the last few years underneath Coach, underneath Coach Bradley, Jay Bradley. See, I had Brad Shaw and then I had Bradley. So Coach Bradley, he's done a good job of kind of starting to turn that culture a little bit. Do you kind of get that sense when you came here and started working here in person?
Yes, I really want to pick up where he left off. I've been hearing a lot of people in town saying, hey, they're coming off their best year. So I'm just trying to build off that and keep the momentum going and build for the future.
Brad Shaw joining us in studio. He is the Fort Hays Tech Northwest new men's basketball coach. What has that process been like since you got here? You know, you got moved in. I'm guessing you were on the road recruiting even before you got moved in. What's that whole process been like? Get us caught up to about now.
Absolutely. Arrived on campus 1 week before classes started. So I put in my 2 weeks at my old school. And from there, I was doing all my recruiting. I wasn't even here and had to wheel and deal, try to round up our roster to get loaded and ready to roll here. And so it was a chaotic process, but we have a nice group of guys, really excited to coach them up. They've been working their tails off so far. And so basically did everything from North Dakota, then came here 1 week in, time for school. And so it's ready or not, here we go.
No, absolutely. How does your pitch go? Can you, like, how would you pitch to a guy like, hey, I'm this guy and I'm going to be at this school. I've never been there in person. Not that you would say this, but I've never been there in person, but I want you to come play for me. How do you kind of go about selling that?
Yeah. Focus on the key points. Being a Division I junior college, right? We have scholarships. That's a huge, huge piece. Athletic scholarships. And then the Jayhawk Conference, very prestigious. Those two things, if you want to get recognized, this is the place to be.
What about recruiting footprint? Do you have that at your previous? I mean, I'm sure you had your connections. All coaches do. So when you were up in North Dakota and you had your connections, do you still love to use those connections? Or are you trying to find new connections as you are into a new conference and kind of a new part of the United States footprint-wise? How do you go about finding those connections to get the right guys you want in your program?
Absolutely. I'm always a Midwest guy. So in the past, I've focused on the Dakotas, Wisconsin, Minnesota, but go back to my Nebraska days. I'm planning to bring more Nebraska guys here, load up on some of the top Kansas guys. Colorado's just nearby, but we have the ability to bring in a guy from anywhere. And so I'm really looking forward to just continue and improving our team.
How has recruiting changed even over the last handful of years since, kind of prior to COVID, through COVID, and now? I mean, I'm guessing it's become more of a virtual recruiting to an extent through your texting, through FaceTime, whatever it may be, and less about getting in person with people.
Yes. Well, one way to save on the recruiting budget is to do it from home. Use the computer, use your phone. You don't need to waste the mileage and drive 5 hours to go see somebody. You can watch a live stream now. That part helps as well. But the transfer portal as well is a big piece. Always checking on that. A lot of guys have to wait and hold off on and see what other people are doing before they make their moves. And so it's been great these last couple of years to monitor all that.
Once again, we're visiting with Brad Shaw. He's the new head men's basketball coach at Fort Hays Tech Northwest here in Goodland. Going to be starting his first season. How has roster construction gone along? Do you have your roster all completely put together? Are you all set to go? I mean, I know you've been having a few practices. I'm guessing you've got all your guys ready to rock and roll.
We are all here. Yes, we had a couple late arrivals. We're at 19 guys right now. There's an opportunity for a couple others to join us in October for the second 8 weeks of class, and then maybe some more guys at the winter break. But those guys will obviously be redshirting for this season. But it's been fun to see who's bringing the juice every day, and these guys have some real skills at the guard position. We have some guards that can go with anybody, and they're gonna thrive this year. Can't wait.
How would you describe your philosophy as a coach when it comes to the game of basketball?
Yeah, I've been asked that a few times, and I think the first part is it's like the old Steve Kerr line. Your team is represented by how are they acting when they walk into the building. Are they fired up to be there, or are they dragging to get there? I think that's where it all starts. You have to be fired up to be there, and you have to be an everyday MFer, as Coach Tim Miles would say. So that is the mindset. You got to bring it every day. Got to bring it every day.
I'm holding back my excitement to talk about Coach Miles. Let me tell you, I'm holding it back. I can't wait to hear some stories. But no, I can't imagine. It's got to be such a difficult. I just think about the stress and the stuff. Oh, I've got this new job. I'm now a head coach for the first time. What's that been like? Being a head coach now and getting to call the shots and not being assistant as you've been for all the time.
Yeah, it's been great. It finally feels like this is the time. This is right. But being at NDSCS the last 4 years really prepared me for the JUCO level and the things that I want to work on, the things that we're going to do that separates us from everybody else, and what we're going to work on and just get better fundamentally and make good decisions on and off the floor. Those things have really prepared me to take the next step.
Was that your first stop out of college? Or were you someplace else prior to that?
Nope. So was never at NDSU. That's the big school in Fargo.
Sorry.
I was at NDSCS. That's the junior college. So I've kind of bounced around after my Husker days. I spent 1 year at a small school in Ohio. Then I spent 3 years at Johnson & Wales in North Miami, Florida, NAIA school. Then 1 year at Dickinson State, NAIA, and then made my way to Wahpeton, North Dakota for NDSCS the last 4 years. So that's kind of been my coaching journey, and now here we are.
Have you developed that North Dakotan accent a little bit over the time?
What's funny, some people think I have an accent, and some people say, no, you don't. And so wherever you are, people will say, yes, you do or you don't. Some people think I do here in town that have talked to me.
I hear it just a skosh, not a lot, just a little bit. The town, something like that. Get your O's in there. But
yes.
What was it like living in North Dakota for those years? I mean, you talk about going from Miami, Florida up to North Dakota. That had to be quite a change in the wardrobe apparel.
It was a ideal winter for me being in Florida, and it helped that I had family out there as well to make everything work and be smooth. I would always remember that even after practice at night, it was still hot and humid at night. I'm just like, this is amazing. I've never felt anything like this before. So, but hey, that's all right. And basketball is an indoor sport, so get used to it.
That's right. Because you grew up in North Dakota, right? As a kid. What time did you grow up in North Dakota?
So I'm from Fargo originally, born and raised. So yes, the Bison are a big deal. NDSU is a big deal out there, and so I was pulling for them to beat the Buffs in week 1. They almost had them, and so yeah, that's the big boy school. But they are sister schools to NDSCS. NDSU have great connection, strong ties. So I always support the Bison.
No, absolutely. Brad Shaw joins us here in studio talking Fort Hays Tech Northwest men's basketball. Can you tell us about a couple of guys that you're excited to see this year wear the black and gold for the first time?
Absolutely. We had our media day yesterday, so the guys got to try on the jerseys, and I thought they really enjoyed it. And we have some new gear. It's all brand new this year. There are no more.
Everything's brand new this year.
We're not wearing Mavericks anymore or anything like that. And so the guys really like that. And now we have the Goodland colors, so it's all black and yellow throughout town, which is great. But in terms of the guys, I really like Drees Williams. He's a returner for us. Has the ability to play all over the floor. He can play the one, and he could be guarding some bigs for us this season. He's really done a nice job leading by example so far. And then I like Chase Harris as well. He came in as a redshirt last year during the break, and he's from Wichita, and he's really been lighting it up for us so far. And really just have a bunch of guards that can go, and that's what's going to make us strong.
How many of new guys did you have to bring in, and how were you able to retain, and what was that process like of retaining those guys that were already here?
Yeah, so there were a few guys already signed by Coach Bradley, so I really just had to touch base with them, make sure they're still on board, and so they were. And there were a few guys that when Coach Bradley left that, yes, they did decide to leave and move on. Totally respect that, honor that, at least wanted to gauge their interest and see what they have cooking. And but really had to bring in a decent amount of guys. So there were about a handful locked in, ready to go. And then I had to add a good chunk, probably around 10 to 12 guys. So, but fired up that they're here, and off we go.
Yeah, we'll certainly see with the season coming up here before you know it. It's amazing how quickly things can turn around. And what's that process been like? You talk about, getting that energy when you walk in how do you getting your personal culture and stuff installed in these guys? How has that gone about?
Yeah, it's been great. We, Coach Johnson, my assistant, and I, we've really done a nice job of bringing what we've done in the past and implement that here. And we've asked the guys in some one-on-one meetings and the guys really have responded that there's a lot more structure this year with our day-to-day in the gym routine. And that's music to our ears. That means we're doing the right thing and we're breaking things down and getting better and doing the little things. And it's not just play. It's let's grind it out and get better.
I mean, you have to be a good defensive, got to be a good offensive team. I always felt like Jay Bradley was very, very focused on the defensive side, and offensively, he loved to get downhill and get to the foul line a lot. I felt like that was kind of his deal. What do you like to see? What kind of basketball do you like to see?
Yeah, offensively, we want to take the best shot for the team, and if that's an early shot, great. If you're we do what's called championship shooting in practice. And if you're somebody that's not getting good scores, I don't expect you to take a quick, early, long jumper, right? That's probably not what the team's looking for. But if you're somebody getting scores, we can live with your good looks. And so really we want to run up and down. And but I am preaching defense this year and taking care of the rock. Those are a couple big things that we have to do, and along with rebounding. Those are the three things: the rebounds, taking care of the ball, and defending our tails off. And we're going to mix it up with some man and some zone. But offensively, everyone needs to share the ball, and we get the best shot.
You still have a little bit over a month and a half, about 6 weeks before the season begins. What are your big focuses before that first game?
Yeah, so what's even better is in 3 weeks we're starting up scrimmages. So
that's right, scrimmage
we have
time
some scrimmages. Stuff, yeah. Get some tape so the guys can actually see themselves. That'll be great. We're going all the way to Oklahoma Panhandle State. That's NAI. That'll be fun. Then we have the Windsor, Colorado Jamboree, where we'll match up with some other JUCOs, and then we'll round it up and go to North Platte, and that will be our scrimmages for the year. And then off we go first week in November and tip it up.
So no jamborees. Sometimes they have those in Texas or stuff like that. You get to play a few times. You travel all the way down. You're playing about 4 or 5 games. Just going to do simple scrimmages just against a handful of opponents.
In Windsor, Colorado. That's our jamboree for this year. Yep. So that's a 2-day event. We'll be there October 18 and 19, and so we play a couple times each day. So that'll be great for the guys to see how they measure against kids their own age.
How excited are you to be able to call the shots as the head coach in your first game, whether it's a scrimmage or not?
Yeah, it'll be fun. I've been contemplating, should I be seated in my chair a little more, or should I be pacing back? We're just gonna play it by ear, and I'll get up when needed. That's for sure.
Brad Shaw joins us here in studio, Fort Hays Tech Northwest men's basketball coach. All right, to the fun part here. We got to talk about your time at Nebraska. So everybody knows on this radio show, I'm a huge Nebraska fan, born and bred in Nebraska. Love all the sports in Nebraska, Green Nebraska basketball, and I love the time when Tim Miles was there, and you were underneath him for a while. Can you have any great stories from Coach Miles? Any good ones?
A lot of things can't be said on air. That's for one. I think one of the best ones just is being his driver at night sometimes after a big win or whatever it is. If he's out and about, I'm getting that call at night to pick him up and take him home. So that was probably one of the better ones, because you hear some great things in the car then, and so that's one thing that stands out for sure. But actually, I was even there before Coach Miles, so I was there under Doc Sadler.
Oh, great! Oh man,
yeah. So I got to see it all. I got to see the transition, the last year of Huskers in the Big 12, which was very cool. I got to go to the football games for free then. I was so jacked about that. But I'll never forget very first day freshman year, just getting thrown into the fire of a workout, and I was like overwhelmed with the pace and just the work ethic. I'm like, wow, this is the big time. And so it's been great, and every year there was something different.
Yeah, I can't imagine You had to learn. Those were two very different basketball minds to an extent in Doc Sadler and Tim Miles. That you had to learn quite a different few ways and thoughts on the game of basketball from those two guys.
Coach Sadler was very defensive minded.
Extremely defensive.
Huskers were winning games in the 60s. You know, that was clear. But I'll never forget, we beat Texas at home that year. Texas was about to be number one. They had Tristan Thompson.
I was in the Bob Devaney Sports Center for that game.
Oh,
I remember.
What a day. What a day. That was fantastic.
You got to see the transition to the new arena as well.
did.
You were there
every year there was something new conference, new arena, just
practice facility.
Yes, all of it. It was phenomenal. I loved my time there.
How much did you get influenced by that time there? I'm guessing a lot. I mean, how could you not?
I knew that I wanted to coach. Once I got there and set foot, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I just love the game, love being around it every day, and I just had a feeling this is going to be long term.
Well, I can't wait to visit off the air about more of these great Coach Miles stories. Those will be great. I can't wait to have those throughout the upcoming weeks. So
absolutely,
that's once again head coach of the Fort Hays Tech Northwest men's basketball team. That's going to take me a while to get that right. Brad Shaw. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it for coming in. We'll talk soon. All right.
Thanks so much.
All right, we'll take a break, come back. We'll wrap things up with our final segment next here on the Morning Blitz.
Even though your attention has turned back to school with events and activities, you just can't forget everything going on at home. That's where your local Hoover Lumber Ace hardware stores in Goodland and Colby come in. Keep the lawn in check with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. They are still your local Benjamin Moore paint retailer, and they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Plus, their helpful and knowledgeable staffs are some of the best in the Northwest. It's all at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
The Farmer State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmer State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
Dr. Charles Frankham is a highly experienced general and colorectal surgeon that's now accepting new patients at the Logan County Health Services in Oakley. Dr. Frankham utilizes minimally invasive techniques for faster recovery times and performs surgeries related to the abdomen and lower digestive tract. Schedule an appointment today by contacting the Logan County Health Services in Oakley. Their number, 785-672-1336. That's 785-672-1336. Logan County Health Services, taking your health to heart.
Hi, it's Andrew Hoiberg from Calcium Products. Rapidly correct and maintain your soil pH with 98G pelletized limestone to protect your fertilizer investment. Applying 98G at 200 pounds per acre provides a 9.4 bushel increase on corn and a 3.1 bushel increase on soybeans. Ask your agronomist about applying 98G pelletized limestone this fall and learn more at calciumproducts.com.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery, ingestion, and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
If you're looking for a more convenient way to access your funds and view your account, then sign up today for Internet Banking. Internet Banking allows you to view your accounts from your computer or even your phone. You can easily transfer between your accounts, view which checks have cleared, send payments through our Bill Pay feature, and even deposit your checks by taking a picture of them. Internet Banking will make your banking experience easy. If you'd like to sign up for Internet Banking, come see me, Victoria Ratcliffe, today at 202 East 11th Street in Goodland, FNB Bank, member FDIC.
Catch up on all the latest headlines, scores, and interviews from the region. This is the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer, your daily dose of sports.
Just a couple minutes left to go here on a Thursday show. Glad you could join us here on the Morning Blitz. Big thanks, of course, to Brad Shaw for hopping on with us and talking about Fort Hays Tech Northwest men's basketball, which gets going here in about 6 weeks or so with real official games about a couple weeks away from getting some scrimmages in, which will be good. Wrapping up the show here with some thoughts on some baseball. Royals falling 4-2 to the Tigers. Boy, things are getting interesting for sure out in that wild card race. The Tigers are right in there mixing it up. They're going to have a chance to make the postseason, it looks like, if they continue on this pace. Tarek Skubal was strong for 5 innings, allowing just 3 hits. Royals couldn't get much going despite an RBI single from Yuli Gurriel and a late run from Salvador Perez, but lost their 4th straight game to the Kansas City Royals yesterday. They have a day off today, and then what did he say? Forgot to write that down. They have a series starting up on Friday. I think it's against the Giants. That they welcome to town. As for the Rockies, they fell 9-4 to my Diamondbacks, who are finally able to get a win. But they are unable to complete a series sweep for the Rockies. Corbin Carroll hit 2 home runs. Eduardo Rodriguez really kept Rockies hitters on their toes. He struck him out 11 times through 6 1/3. Austin Gomber gave up 6 runs in just 2 innings, including 3 home runs. Ezekiel Tovar, Sam Hilliard each had a 2-run singles, but it was not enough to overcome Arizona's offense, which finally busted out of a slump. The Rockies have a day off. They are in LA, I think, taking on the Dodgers this week. They've got a tough series against the Dodgers coming up here over the next couple of days. And then before we get to the walk-off, a couple quick things with some other local news. Fort Hays Tech Northwest cross-country runner Cabello Maha named the NJCAA and KJCCC cross-country runner of the week. He set a time of 19:57 in the Fort Hays State Tiger Open this previous Friday. He was the only runner to run it underneath 20 minutes. By the way, that was a course record for him. It was very impressive. And like I mentioned off the top of the show, busy day today in cross country. Waukene has their cross country invite at Big Creek Golf Course. You've got Goodland, Golden Plains, Wallace County, Oakley, Quinter, all teams going to that. Oberlin cross country is going to be competing up in McCook today. And Colby volleyball back on the floor. They're in McCook for a triangular there. Hoxie will be there as well. So Colby and Hoxie going to McCook for a triangular. On to the walk-off.
A 3-run walk-off home run. A game-winning walk-off. With a walk-off. His second walk-off hit of the season. In walk-off fashion. That baby's go.
I thought it was an interesting story yesterday to hear that Adrian Wojnarowski, or Woj, will not be giving us any more Woj bombs, as he's going to be retiring from ESPN to become the GM for his alma mater, St. Bonaventure's men's basketball. Here's the thing about this, and our good friend Dan Lucero said this on social media, and I couldn't agree more. When you're an insider, you really don't probably sleep much. You really probably don't have much time away with anything else. You are constantly glued to your probably one of 3 phones that you have, that you are constantly getting messages from all the people, all the following, scrolling Twitter, scrolling social media, trying to find anything you can find to have the latest news. It's your job, especially in a major market, to be breaking that stuff. He's been doing it for a long time. And at some point in time, the $20 million, which was the contract he had with ESPN with 3 years remaining, sometimes it's just not enough. When you have to spend that much time away from those you love and just have to constantly be checking out stuff, you have no time to rest. It's extremely difficult. I feel bad. And so I totally get why Wojnarowski stepped aside and wants to go do something to help out his alma mater. He'll actually get a chance to relax a little bit, get a little bit of rest from time to time, and not be so plugged in to the NBA world. So I'm happy for Adrian Wojnarowski, but no more Woj bombs. That's all right. Okay, we're out of here today. Thanks again to Brad Shaw. Thanks to you for listening. We're back again tomorrow with the Football Friday here on the Morning Blitz. And our good friend Connor Nichols is going to stop by the program and visit with us then, so make sure you tune on in. Missing the show, catch the podcast. See you tomorrow on the Blitz.
This is where classic rock legends